Hey, we're back. I'm going to try to hook the previous video to this one through editing. Remember, hindsight's 2020. I'm still trying to figure this out like we all are. But if I can't, this will be a two-part video. So in the previous video, I'll just recap. I hooked up the water line. I'm hooking up the water line to the washer. They did not have a coupling, so I used a T as a makeshift coupling. It's going to be fine. It's not going to leak. It's just a fitting knot for that, but it's usable. Hell, one day I might put a new line on it and run it out and have an extra outside faucet over here. That would be a perk side to that. You could just run a short little 2-foot line to the end of the building and you would have an outside faucet. So things to think about, future things. It might work out. So I'm gonna cut the camera loose here for a second. So in several videos, I've talked about cabin construction, structural things. So what we have right here, if you can see, okay, you can see this water line is going right up against this 2x4 right here. I don't know if you can see that. Here's the drain line. We're gonna try to get a good angle here. Right there, there's probably the best angle right there. So it's running right up against this 2x4 right here and going in. I really don't like this T-trap being outside. I'm gonna get the camera put back over here. I really don't like that being outside. I've had trouble with this freezing in the winter. I've had to put insulation and a heat tape around it. I would really prefer this to be inside, but there's just not the room. Maybe one day we do some remodeling or something else besides what we're already doing. We could make that work out. But for right now, this is functioning. So the reason why I have such a tight space right here is I have this 4x6 right here. The floor joists are 2x4, so that doesn't give me very much upward space. And then right here, I have a 2x4, but that 2x4 is making up 1.5 inches. And inside the wall is a 3.5 inch 2x4, has a bottom plate. So that's only leaving me 2 inches to get up any line I want to get up inside without being into the sheetrock. So that's one of the reasons why I moved it around, because on the other side I had a 2x6, 2x4, bottom plate. Over here I have just a small window to be able to get it up in there. Is it ideal? It's not necessarily ideal, but it is functioning. But what I want is I want the water line to be up inside of this 2x4 spacage. So I have a floor joist, which is a 2x4 thickness. So right here, and because I'm trying to think ahead, I want to make sure that this water line right here is up inside of this right here. That way when I go to do insulation, it's up inside there and it's not going to refreeze. Oh, I just stuck that up in there. It's not okay, so right there. So what I'm going to do is, and it's called thinking ahead. I have a very small space right here to get my line hooked up. I'm going to put my elbow on this here on the riser piece first, which I can push up inside, which is going up into the wall. Reason why it's important to do the right one first is once I push that up in there, if I clamp the line that's coming over, I'm not going to be able to have the room to flex the pipe down. So we're going to put this one on first. Right there, we're going to get it clamped on there. All right, right there. So that's clamped on. I'm going to try to just loosen that pipe up a little bit, get it a little bit straighter to where I want it. And then this is my piece that's coming over. And I still haven't hooked it up to that T that I'm using as a makeshift coupling. we're gonna feed her up in here. Actually, first, I'm gonna put this coupling on here right like that. Stick it right there on the end. And I'm gonna feed this right up in here. And right there. We're gonna pause for a second and see if I can get the camera into a better angle. Okay, so we're back. So hopefully you have a good view right here, not just in my hand. So I got this fitting on here. I got everything twisted around. We're going to pull this back down here. And I'm going to twist this right there like that. Try to give me what I want. I'm coming right up in here like so. So you're right there, I'm right here. Oh. I groan a lot because sometimes it's hard to get wiggled around into some of these spots. So as you can see right there, I got her seated up in there. I'm going to turn that fitting right there where I want it. And then hopefully we're going to get on this and crimp her down. Oh, might have to scoot the camera a little bit here. We're going to move this right down here. Oh man. Alright. And then we're going to get this right up here. Like I said, you know, space is a premium. And sometimes it's really hard to get everywhere where you need it to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pry this over a little bit with that to where I can get that tool on there. Man, that is being, and like I said, this is one of the problems about tiny home cabin constructions, is there's not always the space that you need to be able to do something. It's being very difficult right there. So we're going to see about doing this. I got okay. Right there, right there. Okay, I just gotta get that back over where I can grab it. And the appropriate spacage. Okay, so I got a good spot to twist it over. Just a little right there. Oh, man, maybe there's a wedge right there. That would be so nice. I'm gonna have to pause for a minute. Okay, so we're back. So what I did right here, this block that I have in here, I realized wasn't all that tight. So what I'm able to do is wiggle that over right there like that. Which, actually, you know, I didn't even know sometimes the easiest solution is the best solution. I didn't realize it was that loose. Like I said, hindsight's 20/20. I'm figuring this out, you're figuring this out. So right there, right there. Now it's in and it's up above that floor line. So we're gonna pause for a moment. So we're back. So I got that cold water line in. I'm gonna scoot these back. You know, I've got other supports in underneath that are supporting everything. I just left this in here just kind of because this was, when we redid some of the other supports, this was right where the washer is. And I wanted to leave that extra support in there. So that's why I left it in there. So I'll come back with a hammer and knock that in a little bit to just take up some of the slack. So that part's done. We're going to go back over here. Okay, so we're back. So I've got this line coming in underneath here. And I've got this line. Real quick. Yeah. Remember, hindsight's 2020. I'm new to this. So I wanted to run, I didn't want this line underneath this right here. I wanted to just run more over here. But I can't get that line to go back through that way. I was hoping not to have to take that T off, but I'm gonna have to. So we're gonna take our nippers, just pop that off, just like we did before. Use our little garden shears. Take, nip, nip. Right there. I'm gonna grab this. Like I said, I wanted it to run more straight with this line here. So we're going to pull it right there. And then we're going to make it easy for ourselves to make this splice. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that. Throw that over there. And I guess I wound up not bringing enough clamps. Bear with me. So we're back. Went and got a couple more clamps. So I know it's wasting a little bit, but it was just a lot easier to do that, waste that little bit, come over here. So what I'm going to do, let's see here, we're going to adjust the camera just a little bit here for you guys at home for your viewing pleasure. So I'm going to hold this up here. Hold this clamp right here like so. I'm going to make my fitting off this blue one because I want to make it a little bit further away from the wall because this gives a little longer run right there. And I might wind up using that little piece in the end. So I'm going to kind of, PEX fittings can wiggle around a little bit, but I still want to kind of keep it in an orientation where if I did come off this and go out for another faucet, I could. We're going to put that right there, clamped right there. The reason why I wanted to get that one done is that way I could kind of hold these two up here, and then I can kind of see where I want to cut it. So I'm going to cut it long. I'm going to cut it long because I just want to be able to make that first fit. So I'm going to cut it long, kind of stick it in, and see how much tension is on line. I don't want it tight and I don't want it real loose. So it's a little bit more than what I want. So I'm going to pull it right there. That's right about there. So I'm going to cut her right there. Like I said, these little garden shears have been one of the best tools I've figured for using this stuff. Right there. Right there, and that's done. Is that ideal? Not necessarily. Is it going to be functionable? Yes. Will I, in a year or two, maybe say, damn, I wished I had done that different? Probably. Hindsight's always 20/20. We'll pause for a second. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So we just finished hooking that up. Is that ideal? Using a T as a coupling? Not necessarily, but it's functionable and it works. And one of these days, if I redo this, which is probable, I'll have a T. Look ahead. Hindsight's always 20/20. There you go. Catch you next time.